After it answers questions, you have those. Is there any general questions about Canvas or LMS? Okay. Commencement. I've been asked to remind faculty that if you don't have Regalia and you need to rent it, that you do that early in the semester, not wait till May 1st. Evidently, the bookstore is doing really well with students, but evidently faculty are a little lagging there, and they come in 2 days before commencement and need Regalia. So if you would try and get that done ahead of time, they would really appreciate you getting your Regalia ordered. The times of the ceremony, we were asked to reduce the amount of time between the ceremonies, so faculty who were staying for both commencement ceremonies didn't have to wait so long. So they reduced it by 30 minutes. They felt that was the maximum amount of time they could reduce it and still get all the students staged like they needed to. So the first ceremony will start at 10, and then the second ceremony will start at 1:30. And then we'll still have the lunch in between and that going on. Okay. They're also looking for a commencement speaker or speakers. We can have one person for both or one for the two different ceremonies. So if you have either a current student who's graduating, an alumnus, so a student who's graduated that you're still in contact with, or if you know of an outside political figure or somebody who would make a really good speaker, if you'll get those names to either me or Vicki Trawick, we're trying to find some speakers for that. Okay. Any questions about commencement? Right. We have started a textbook resource and policy update committee. And so it's called TRAP, is the name of it. So Scott is here to give us an update on what's going on with this committee. If you'll tell us the members of the committee too. So
Steve Tuttle is the chair. A lot of people are here today, so despite all my allergies and all that, I get to talk about it. Greg Trickett, Mike, and Cindy Levine are also, Mike Magoo, are also on it. And so we've met once. And before I get into this, I know from talking with some of the other members of the committee that some of you were somehow afraid of this committee, like we have power. Okay. We are a fact-finding committee assigned by the Faculty of Senate who has no power. So if they don't have much power, imagine what we don't have. So don't, let your paranoia go in other places, go to your department meetings and let it unleash, but don't put it on us. All we're trying to do is to find out information. And just to give you some ideas, over the last 10 years, the price of textbooks has increased by 73% approximately. The average price of a college textbook today is $80, and if you're a full-time college student today, taking a full load of classes in the fall and spring, on average, that student is going to spend about $1,300 on textbooks, which if you're taking full-time, if you're full-time here at 24 hours, is going to cost you about $2,000 on tuition. So the fact that we're over half of I know that's true in our department. If you take history 1301, 1302, government 2305, 2306, which you have to do. And then you just had to also do econ 2301 or 2301, 2302. That's $856 for brand new books and the codes and all of that sort of stuff. And that's just 18 hours. So it's a lot of money. And so the need to actually start seriously taking a look at the cost of the textbooks that we're forcing our students to purchase it's past the time we need to look at this a little bit and see if we can't find some alternatives or solutions to it. So that's what we're trying to do in this committee. First of all, we're going to examine the textbook policy. There actually is one, and we're going to look at it. We're going to talk to Faculty Senate about it. Probably end up going to Curriculum and Academic Standards Committee and saying, maybe there needs to be some adjustments to this, and seeing if they'll agree with that. We're also going to try to compile and disseminate to faculty all sorts of ways of efforts of reducing the cost of textbooks, other resources for students, where maybe you don't need that $300 textbook or the $125 book or whatever. And also, official way to help us advise us on what the bookstore can do. Those things. And of course, they get a profit motive, but we were at a textbook panel that we did back in November, and someone from a few people in the bookstore were there, and we said that students can't sell back their loose leaf books. And they said, yes, they can. They will buy loose leaf edition. They won't pay much for them, but they'll buy them back. So there's a lot of myths out there that the textbook, the bookstore knows is just incorrect, but they don't realize that they don't realize those myths are out there. So one of them's on there as well. So that's really all we're doing right now, and we're going to try to find out some information, and hopefully by the end of the semester we can get some information out to the faculty senate, which can then get out to the faculty. That's about it.
Thank you. Does anybody have questions for Scott? Let's see. I'm going to stick this in here that I didn't have on the agenda, and that's, it was brought to our attention for Faculty Senate that we have several students who are homeless, that don't have enough food to eat, so there's a lot of student poverty and student hunger, and so we were asked to think about that and address it. So Trey Jansen kind of took that with Phi Theta Kappa. Could you let us know what your thought?
That Phi Theta Kappa takes on this spring. Hopefully we can get something started this spring, but I mean, the likelihood is to have something solid in place by the fall would be the most likely option. And we're thinking something along the lines of creating something that's been done at other colleges, but it's a food bank where students can come in and grab what they need, no questions asked, and it's sort of you trust them to be honest and help them out, and we run that bank through donations. And so anybody who's willing to jump on and help out with that, we would always love your help. But if you see us collecting random food, that's what we're doing.
When you say they're homeless, living in a car, or what do you mean by homeless?
Cars, shelters.
We have some that are living with faculty or staff, or because their faculty and staff generously taking them in. So, yes.
Just to announce for Greg, you'll be seeing an email from Greg Trickett requesting 4 volunteers to be on the Brad Tibbetts board this year, the Brad Tibbetts Scholarship. If you wanted to donate to that, still, it is a faculty-driven scholarship. We created, we've been able to get some really cool scholarships the last several years. So we ask you to continue to support that. Our students really appreciate it. But Greg will be sitting on a net and select top applicants, and the pool's created from there.
Thank you for bringing that up. And the past recipients we've had have been amazing students. So, all right, instructor burnout and morale. This was brought to Faculty Senate. We honestly didn't know what to do with it, so we brought it to you. So, if you have, I would like to have just a short discussion. If you have any ideas of what we can be doing as an institution or amongst Faculty Senate administration to help with faculty burnout. I know that part of the problem seemed to be teaching the same courses continuously. If you're at a bigger university, you might get chances to teach your favorite thing, and it might not happen here. So does anybody have anything they want to throw out there that we should be looking at or working on, or that you would like to see implemented to help with burnout or morale? Okay, we're just going to stay burned out. That's what I'm getting.
Maybe it's not that big.
So maybe it's just not that big of a deal. Maybe some
One
of
of
us
the
are
things
just...
that I proposed a lecture series where we would bring in a historian every year and do that. And the people up top loved the idea until I mentioned the money. And they started telling me that, well, Holiday Inn will provide things free, and that's nice that we're begging Holiday Inn to give us a free room. Maybe the administration can perhaps be a little bit more supportive of ideas like that and willing to throw a little money into it, rather than as soon as they hear the word money, they just shut down. Because I was told, well, maybe someone will donate money, but I couldn't go and hit people up, because then I might be hitting people who are already donors, and they've got money.
That's a good idea. I know a lot of those other places do have series, lecture series, that actually even help. Anything else?
That's a good idea, though, Scott. It'd be good for students to see that.
So if you have anything else, and you don't want to stand up and go, I want free cookies every day, you can email them to me, right? And we'll go that route. Or email them to your faculty senator. All right, the student concern process. I left this one for last because I figured it'd be the thing we're going to have most discussion on. This has come about because we seem to not have a consistent process of dealing with students' concerns, is where we're now at with this verbiage, right? Is concerns. We do have a grievance policy, a student grievance policy, which is an official policy that requires students to put it in writing, goes to student services, and it becomes an official document right off. What we don't have is a way of dealing with student concerns when a student just wants to express a concern they have with an instructor. How do we handle that? Where do we go with it? How?
And what basically the committee is in agreement on is that I think it's across the board as a faculty here at Weatherford College that we feel it's important to teach these students interpersonal communication in terms of if you have a problem with somebody in the real world, you deal with that problem, a small problem, you approach that person and talk to them about it. And that's in the spirit of what we've come up with is we didn't even come up with anything. But what our discussions have been about is that leading to this idea that to cut down on all this chatter that can grow into something bigger than what it is, it should start with the instructor of every class. And if the student's not comfortable going to the instructor, then they can go to the department chair. The department chair could then work to set up some sort of conference or something with the student and the instructor. Okay, so what we did was took the statement that was put into, it was approved by the Curriculum and Academic Standards Committee, I don't remember what year, but it was approved to go onto the master syllabi, which is probably not where it belongs. And so it probably belongs more on course outlines